Welcome everybody, we're playing a little Genshin Impact today.
Okay. It's alright.
You can hear me in the background talking to Dutch / Trylonicus / Hubby. This footage would have otherwise been lost due to our internet connection, so I just started recording instead of streaming because we had some really fun boss fights throughout this. Right now we're fighting the Anemo Hypostasis, and of course you know, it has a couple of attack moves that it goes through. It tends to aggro the more powerful of the people who are targeting it. And then here at the end, you get a couple of those air boulders, I guess. And then the air streams afterwards. And then you need to pick up the Anemo energy to keep it from regenerating and end the fight. Now we're just doing a little bit of the cleanup. You can see Trylonicus playing Ganyu over in the background. Myself, I'm an Amber fan with this fight. And of course, had to take one hit because I am, you know, the weaker of two enemies for this wind cube. Question mark? Anyway, we're going to be moving through a couple of different boss fights throughout this video. We're about to encounter the Cryo Regisvine. Now this is what I call the freeze flower because these names are made up and stupid. And we have a lot of fun with this because you just go in with a good healer, a Klee, maybe an Amber, and you get to see just the cutest little abomination do their best work. I mean, look at that cute little... She's just so cute. She's even cuter than Bear and Bunny. Anyway, you can tell Klee's my favorite character. But Trylonicus's Klee is a lot more powerful than mine. So he brings her to the table. Then we're just collecting a couple of leyline blossoms, trying to get more Ascension materials for many different characters we've collected at this point. So, now that we see Jumpty Dumpty jumping across my screen with all the rubber banding, thank you Xfinity for failing miserably at doing your one job. But now we're fighting the Electro Hypostasis. This is going to be kind of an interesting fight. It has a lot of invulnerable moments, but also you'll notice that there are some times when we are doing damage to it that it should be taking damage, that the internet lag is just causing to not register. So we are fighting it the best we can. We actually get through this battle pretty quickly, and then we jump over to our next target. Now, if I recall correctly, I think we're doing the Hydro Lady. I never remember what that boss is called, but the Waters of Qingce. Qingce? Is that how she says it? We'll hear it here in a moment. But we're moving on in the map now to our next boss fight. Yes. And I have cute little Chi-Chi complaining that she forgot her umbrella. Made me giggle at this point. And we're just going to interact with this little puddle on the ground. And Rhodeia of Loch. This is the Oceanid of Qingce. Qingce is how she says it. Okay. But anyway, she just summons these little water spirits. And the water illusions, you have to freeze them, electrify them, melt them, whatever you want to do. The key here, for those of you who haven't done this fight before, is to stay on the middle platform when the platforms start to disappear. Almost always, one of the two water illusions that she summons will be on the middle platform. So you can kind of just hang out there, wait to see where things spawn, stay safe, and maybe not do what I do here in this battle and ice and then electrify the area to where you're all going to take damage. So that being said, we do get through this fight. It just literally forces you to take your time because the animations take so long. This is one of my biggest gripes with Genshin Impact so far, is that the dialogue and these random cutscenes are just lengthening the process of playing and leveling up and having fun. They're not actually lengthening anything in the game here that benefits the player in any way, shape, or form. I understand we want to do you know, be courteous to the developers. They worked really hard on these animations and these scenes and all of this different amazingness that makes up the games that we play. But I'd much rather see my characters do their really cool ults like just now with Chi-Chi than I would see an Oceanid yell at me from the sky. You know? So this fight's gonna go a little bit longer, and we're just happy to have Ganyu on our team. I did finally unlock a Ganyu character of my own recently, but I of course am lacking in the Ascension materials for all of my heroes. Unfortunately, that's the downside of having so many options in Genshin Impact, is that you have to kind of pick and choose who you're going to favorite first. And as you can see, I'm a really big Beidou fan. Beidou is Bego, in my opinion. But getting back into it, we're just kind of watching the final scene, the platforms return, and then of course the Leyline Blossom appears. Sorry, I'm getting too close to my microphone here, and it's hearing myself echo for the first time in a long time is really bugging me out.
Get in that cutscene.
Okay, now we're doing Andreas, Dominator of Wolves, aka Wolf Boy. This is one of my favorite fights to do with Dutch / Trylonicus, because he likes to jump into the cutscenes a lot and just kind of start doing damage before I can even do anything. I don't get to play in his world very often because I'm a chicken and I haven't actually leveled up my world past 5. And I don't really feel like I want to, because some of the fights are designed to be difficult and long already. And if I level up my characters and my world any further, it's going to take me even longer and be even more frustrating. So here we are watching the first half of the Andreas fight, and then he's going to evolve after this fun little tail chasing moment that he gets to have. We shoot him. It doesn't cancel out the animation like it used to. I do a little bit complain about that to Dutch in the background here. But I missed this time. That was my own fault. And then this time he doesn't actually charge. He jumps. So I should have known better and not even tried to hit him whenever he stops at this last point. So he jumps. And then we hit him. And then he doesn't even notice us. And he does his little evolution, his Pokemon evolution into Glaceon, and becomes an ice spirit. And we just start hitting him. Trying to get that double tap in with Amber as much as possible, and then doing a couple of little shield tricks here with Noelle, trying to keep the team healed up. Because at that point, Dutch did take quite a bit of damage. So now we're almost finished with the fight. We're just kind of hitting him with all we got, having a little bit of fun, and I ult after the battle's already finished. Kind of wasted there. Please tell me in the comments how I could have done that better. But we're going to go ahead and up our fragile resin, use our original resin, get 1 ring of Borean, 1 whole ring of Borean. And then of course we're going to cut over to the Primo Geovishap fight. And this is a really fun one for me because I actually get a ton of B-roll of myself fighting a big scary, because our internet fails again and Dutch gets kicked from the fight for about 75% of it. You'll notice that the health bar does not change and just randomly jumps at moments until the end of this fight. So this is a really fun one for me. I just basically bring Noelle and Beidou to the party. I'm hindered because I do have someone in the fight with me, but they're suddenly not available and I don't have 2 spare characters to switch to. So we're just hitting this Primo Geovishap. He's got a little bit of that Hydro going on. And we're taking advantage of that because Hydro reacts well with Electro. And Beidou's got that, you know, Beidou Slam. And then we've got the Wolfsbane Greatsword doing all of that great damage whenever you've got a burst happening where you're just hitting over and over again. And when you get to that low percentage health of your enemy, you get that extra boost, the heightened crit. And that really comes in handy in this Primo Geovishap fight. Not to mention Noelle, her healing abilities. I love when she says time to clean up. And then I get to see all those health points coming back in. Alright, now he has updooted. He is no longer Hydro, he is Cryo. I'm kind of regretting not bringing a fire person to this fight, but that's fine. I do end up getting through it just fine. There is a more embarrassing boss fight at the end of this video that I do not succeed in. That's just fine. And then we just kill him as hard as we can, try and get those Ascension materials at the end, because I would really like to ascend my Yanfei. I want to see what Fire She-Hulk brings to the table. Alright, hit me harder. That's going to give Beto all the juice. I'll freaking love it. And we're going to just try not to just get stuck in a wall footage at this point. We're having a really good time. As always, we do get through it mostly unscathed. Noelle is our hero in this one, and then Ganyu joins the battle right at the end. And it's very, very useful. Run over to that Leyline Blossom, spend a little bit more of that resin. And we're gonna try and move on to the next. So we are now hitting up the Pyro Regisvine. We're bringing our double hydro, I like to call them water babes, Mona and Barbara, to the battle. Mona for those big hit points, Barbara for those heals, and then Dutch is bringing in Ganyu and... Hold on just a second. Hey, how do you say Husbandu's name? Zhongli. I forgot his name for like 2 seconds. I always call him Husbandu, because he is Husbandu. And Noelle is waifu, and that is how they will always be. Now we're moving on to the Geo Hypostasis, aka the Rock Cube. We like to bring double Noelle to this fight because the claymores are really useful, and then we've got Diluc over on Dutch's side and Beta with me. And we're just going to take these pillars down to their last sliver of health so that when Dutch is fighting the actual elemental, he can just knock them down. And that's my job in this fight. I always just focus on the pillars, try not to take any damage, and cheer him on. Yay! Go Dutch. So this fight isn't super eventful whenever you don't let it last too long. So you're not going to see a lot of really cool stuff in this. But that is because we are just so good at beating this boss together. And you know what they say. The couple that plays together stays together. Just kidding, I have no idea. Please don't jinx my relationship. Alright. So now we're going to the very end. We've got this little shield thing that Dutch remembers to detarget the actual hypostasis and get that shield over us just in case. And then we move it to center, have to kill these pillars as fast as possible. And once we do, and whip out our Noelle ults to do so, it's gonna be great. There we go. Big old golden element swords. I love it. That's gonna end the fight. We get the Trounce Blossom again, or the Leyline Blossom. I got 3 basalt pillars, which means that I am very close to ascending a lot more of my Geo characters. And now we're doing the Electro Regisvine, Thunderous Blast Bloom. Now this one is kind of fun because we actually, if you notice, I got the guidebook entry. I had not done this fight before, and we kind of went in blind, but we kind of just trusted that we'd get it. And we learned as we went. So I brought Diona to this fight because Cryo is just really great against Electro, getting those reaction points. And of course we already have Ganyu over there doing the ice damage, and I'm just kind of helping out. Been using Noelle, make sure everybody stays healthy and happy. That brings us to the end of the fight pretty quickly once we start actually hitting. So we ult here, do a little bit of cleanup, a little bit of spinning, dusting, or like a spin mop, or a Roomba. But for bad guys, the bad guy Roomba, Noelle. And then we get 2 Thunderclap Fruit Core, Now this looks almost identical to the other Electro Ascension material,
Careful, he is a weird
which is the Electro bead? It's not the thunder bead, but it's a storm bead, and it sounds like that scene in Maid of Honor where they're talking about Grandma's thunder beads, and it's really funny to me. Anyway, so now we're back on to the Jadeplume Terrorshroom, aka the mushroom turkey, or the mushroom chicken, or the mushroom bird. I'll call it a lot of different things as I play. But this is a really fun fight. If you can get through it really quickly, they don't have a chance to summon their minions, and they don't get to do as many AoE attacks. And that makes it faster and more fun for the person playing. But the first time you go in, especially if you're doing it alone, this can be a really interesting fight to try and find your way around. So keep that in mind. They do summon minions. You've got to be prepared for that. Now we've got the 2 of the majestic hooked beaks. And we can move on to the next boss fight. I'm trying to remember where in the recording we are at right now.
Oh, hold on, I want to catch.
But we're having a lot of fun. Oh, here we are. Okay, so we are trying to get that Zoo Tycoon achievement still with those nets. And we go up to the Pyro Cube. Pyro Hypostasis. Sorry. And that's right, that you need to extinguish the shell before you can really start doing any damage, and then you need to make sure the elemental aids to the shell get taken out whenever it tries to repower up. Unfortunately, this fight does not end well for me. We are doing everything we can, and if you notice here in just a few seconds, those connectivity bars under player 2's name badge are gonna just turn red and mostly disappear. So we're gonna do everything we can, do all the damage we can, and then all of a sudden we are going to be having a very bad day. So he's doing his little roly-poly action. He does a little bit of a fish action as well that you saw earlier. And now he is doing his El Toro action. I do believe it's right after this. He does shell up. Oh, nope, he turned into a fist. But in a moment, there we go. We lost Dutch just about here. And we've got Snake Fireman. And he's confused because the connectivity is really bad. And from here on out, I just kind of start losing the battle because I lose Dutch entirely and start getting my butt kicked. At which point, I decide that I'm just going to teleport away and end the fight. But when you have a good internet connection and a good friend to play with, Genshin Impact boss fights are not that scary. I promise I have the most anxiety whenever it comes to these things. I hate when my characters take damage. It feels like it's a personal attack on myself. And it's really difficult to get through. But, like I said, if you have a good internet connection and a good friend to play with, this is one of the most fun games. So I really encourage anybody who doesn't know what they're doing yet in the game or who might be curious about it to go ahead and check it out. Genshin Impact's one of my favorites, and it's free to play. So that's one of the best things about it. Unfortunately, Xfinity has failed in its duties to connect me to the rest of the world, and Dutch and I trying to share an internet connection while I'm streaming seems to be literally impossible for them to support. So that's going to be the end of this video. We're just going to kind of watch Chi-Chi fight for her life. And yeah, because she doesn't really have a life anymore, I guess we're mostly just cheering her on, hoping that that little tag that keeps her zombified does not get burnt up. Thank you so much for coming to my channel today and watching this video, especially if you made it to the end. I did not expect you to get this far, but I really appreciate it. Please make sure that you tell your friends that my channel is around and it's fun. I love you. I hope you have a great day. Twitch.tv/QookieChan. QookieChan. Thank you.